For Spot News now, stand by.
It's 25 minutes after 6, and time for the latest news from WLW Communications Exchange. President Kennedy will visit that rare thing, a Republican city in the South, today. Dallas has turned to the GOP in recent years of elections, but the city is important in Mr. Kennedy's plans for next year, since he carried Texas by only 43,000 votes in 1960. Yesterday, the president visited San Antonio, where the reception was warm, and Houston, where it was not so warm. He's spending the night in Fort Worth. This is the nation station, WLW, Cincinnati.
Over, under, around, and through. Pall Mall travels, pleasure to you. Pall Mall's natural mildness is friendly to your taste. Yes, Pall Mall's natural mildness is so friendly to your taste.
Pall Mall's famous length travels the smoke naturally over, under, around, and through the finest tobaccos money can buy. Makes it mild, but does not filter out that satisfying flavor so friendly to your taste.
Over, under, around, and through. Pall Mall travels, pleasure to you. Pall Mall's natural mildness is so friendly to your taste.
Buy Pall Mall famous cigarettes. Outstanding.
And they are mild. 6:45 Eastern Standard Time. The Cincinnati temperature is 56 degrees. The nation's family prayer period presented by the Cadle Chapel.
5.5 minutes past 7. Time now for a check on the weather from the Wlw-Radio Weather Service. And here to report is meteorologist Frank Pierce.
Good morning, everyone. Well, a lot of moisture due our area here over the next couple of days, and it looks as though it's going to get pretty well started here today. We have quite a broad band of Gulf moisture that is flowing from that area across Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, and all the way to the northern lakes. Showers and some thunder showers, and actually in places some rather steady and moderate rains have already broken out in the midsections of the Mississippi Valley. And the radar indications now of a line that is close to the Ohio-Indiana border and then follows along the Indiana and Kentucky borders back into western Tennessee. That line, the forward wall of some showers and occasional light rain that get more intense as you get deeper into it. And we're going to be getting deeper into it today, and so we'll look for the increasing heavy cloud that is generally spread over the area now, and as it thickens, more rain expected out of it today. We'll start then with mostly cloudy, windy conditions across the area. The showers already in Indiana and western Kentucky, and those moving into Ohio and the eastern sections of Kentucky, at least by this afternoon, with a few sprinkles of rain out ahead of it even this morning. So you better have your umbrella, raincoat, and so on for returning home tonight because of the rather heavy rains that could be here and there throughout the region. It's going to give us some adequate amounts of moisture. Temperatures of the mild variety in the 60s, around 66 or 65 in Cincinnati, and lows still in the 50s tonight, Cincinnati 56. Saturday, cloudy, windy, and turning cooler with still some showers left over from today and tonight. 56 in Cincinnati now, and that's the weather.
7.5 minutes after 7, WLW time. More news, Bill Robbins.
The Navy says it might try today to salvage a U-2 spy plane which went down in the Gulf of Mexico Wednesday, presumably while returning from a flight over Cuba. The wreckage is located about 40 miles northwest of Key West, Florida, in about 100 feet of water. The Air Force said the plane apparently experienced mechanical trouble. The pilot, Captain Joe Hyde, Jr. of LaGrange, Georgia, is missing, but the search for him goes on in hopes he might have reached a reef and reached safety. Informed sources say the craft was returning from a routine mission over Cuba when it crashed. The U.S. has been sending reconnaissance planes over the island regularly since Soviet missiles were discovered there in October last year. Informed sources in Leopoldville say one of 2 Russian diplomats arrested by Congress.
13.5 after 7, here's Bill with the sports.
The Cincinnati Royals face a rugged 3 games and 3 nights scheduled over the weekend with only 8 healthy players on the roster. Their opponent tonight at Cincinnati Garden, the Detroit Pistons. Tomorrow night, the Royals play the Hawks at St. Louis, then return to play the Hawks again at Cincinnati Garden on Sunday night. 3 players could miss tonight's game. Jack Kleiman still has an injured hand. Jay Arnett's recovering from the flu. And Tom Hawkins definitely is out with a bad ankle. Only one game played in the NBA last night. The Los Angeles Lakers beat St. Louis 111-99. And, of course, tonight's game between the Royals and Detroit will be heard over Wlw-Radio beginning at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. The Cincinnati Wings hockey team play the St. Louis Braves at St. Louis tonight. The Ohio State Buckeyes fly to Ann Arbor this morning for that traditional game with Michigan. A win tomorrow would give the Buckeyes at least a tie for second in the Big Ten. They'll have a fight on their hands. Coach Woody Hayes ran his first and second units through a light drill and sweatsuits yesterday, and the Buckeyes are ready for the Wolverines, although Michigan is slightly favored. The last big weekend of college football gets underway tonight with one major game. North Carolina State, currently in the running for the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship, tangles with league foe Wake Forest. American Davis Cup player Dennis Ralston faces Australia's John Newcombe in today's rounds of the South Australian Tennis Championships. Ralston advanced to the finals by outlasting top-ranked Aussie Roy Emerson in a 2.5-hour match yesterday. Well, that's news and sports. Fred Bernard, what do you have to add?
Bill, this is a story about a London glue salesman who has been fired for being too good a salesman. Elijah Ellis joined a manufacturing firm 4 days ago, and he was told that he was expected to sell at least 200 cans of glue and up to 500 a week. Well, Ellis sold nearly 1,600 cans of glue. His boss fired him for disobeying instructions. Turned out that through an oversight, Ellis had not received a company letter asking salesmen to accept only small orders because of a glue shortage. A company spokesman said Ellis will stay fired anyway.
Sticky situation.
Sticky situation, yes, indeed. And that's the latest news from WLW's Communications Exchange. Bill Robbins reporting. Next news at 8 o'clock here on the Nation Station, WLW in Cincinnati. Coming up to 16 after 7, we'll get the Clockwatcher show underway with Nat Cole.
Wouldn't you really rather have a Buick? A Buick? A Buick? Wouldn't you really rather have a Buick than any other kind of car?
Buick Special.
Rim size.
Buick LeSabre.
Full size.
Buick Electra 225.
Oh, luxury.
Buick Skylark.
So personal.
Buick Wildcat.
Wild. Buick Riviera means adventure when you drive. So wouldn't you really rather have a Buick this year? So wouldn't you really rather have a Buick? A Buick? A Buick? Or wouldn't you really rather have a Buick this year?
24 after 7, the field of useless information. The record industry has come out with some figures on the number of records sold in 1962. If laid end to end, they say they would stretch some 37,000 miles. That would go around the world at the equator about 1.5 times. Also has a note here about a new album that's just been released, which I guess kind of figures. Seems to be the era of comedy albums and taking advantage of big stories in the news on which to base those albums. They have one called the Casa Nostra story now with takeoffs on Joe Valachi, who's called Valapio on the disc, and Senator McClobber instead of Senator McClellan, and various other takeoffs on the investigations recently held in Washington, the underworld investigations by that congressional committee. You might be looking for that. Well, it's time for another piece of music here, so let's have some from Victor Damone. Hank Mancini, okay.